He's a scion to the Levi Strauss fortune. And I think it was his great-grandfather that was like the president. So this is like a lot of money for a lot of years. But just like you and I, you could just say, look, I was misled on this. I mean, who do you have fealty to? Joe Biden is leaving office. He's not going on Mount Rushmore. He might go to Mount Rushmore just for a visit, but he's like, just let him wander around for a little bit. That'd be fun. They gave us Kamala Harris, which is a total disaster. The Democratic Party is in the point like a baseball team that goes into last place. It's a rebuilding year. And it's totally fine to throw Joe Biden under the bus, but it's a habitual thing. Back up.
100%.
But it's a habitual thing where they're just like, we got to go out there and protect our guy. It just makes you look stupid and it makes you look untrustworthy. But
I want to read you guys some of what the New York Times said about this and their attempt to cover it up. But before I do, take a look at Dave Portnoy and his meltdown in response to this whole thing.
Your brain is broken. Your brain is broken. You don't get it. Because here's the thing. What the Democrats have done for, 12 years, have taken this moral high ground that we're the righteous party, the truth, honesty, integrity, and Trump is a threat to democracy. He's Hitler and he's a Nazi and this and that. And then the Democrats, whether it's the primary or this, time and again, they're worse than anything Trump's ever done. So if you're like, it's not that. It's the lecturing. It's the Democrats, this engine, just lying straight to our face, pretending they're the moral, righteous authority and thinking the American people are so stupid that we don't see through it. Blow up the Democratic Party. You guys are fucking scumbag liars, and you prove it time and again. And this is just the latest in a long line with Hunter Biden. Yeah, I would pardon my son, too, if I had one, if I could save his ass, too. I just wouldn't lie about it like you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Fucking scumbag liars.
I can relate to that sentiment. It's Massachusetts, man. It's just like a guy on the street in my home state, like, dude, this guy's a fucking liar. I can't believe it. Like, it's just this, the accent from Dave Portnoy convinces me of everything he says.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm very much in line with that thinking. Like, I'm the width of corruption, all of that stuff. Sure. Ultimately, though, he does have this presidential prerogative here. It happens to be his son. The actual issue is the way that you went about this, the lying, the dishonesty. And perhaps it's also
Kmele?
fair to flag the overstatement on the part of the people on the left who were like, oh, look at this very honorable man who could never possibly do the thing, the most bad thing, which definitely separates him from Trump. Actually, it's very different. And actually,
what about this, Kmele?
Cases,
what if it's not lying? What if it is, as the New York Times has told us, just a change of mind? A dark sky had fallen over Nantucket, Massachusetts on Saturday evening when President Biden left church. What a godly man, alongside his family after his final Thanksgiving as president. Inside a borrowed vacation compound earlier in the week, with its views of the Nantucket harbor, Mr. Biden had met with his wife, Jill Biden. I'm going into Hollywood 1950s accent now.
Mid-Atlantic accent.
And his son, Hunter Biden, to discuss a decision that had tormented him for months. The issue, a pardon that would clear Hunter of years of legal trouble. Something the president had repeatedly insisted he would not do. A pardon was the one thing he could do for his troubled son, a recovering addict who he felt had been subjected to years of public pain. Oh, poor Hunter.
That Red Scare hooch again,
I gotta say, I mean, it sounds like the Philadelphia story. You're like, I can't believe it, here in Nantucket Harbor, see? But also, you're in Nantucket Harbor. And you're being defended by the Levi's scion. It's like, it's really relatable. I'm sorry.
That's what's killing me about this.
Dave Portnoy, it's the non-Nantucket version.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
That's right. No, but this is what I was saying yesterday. This is what gets to me, and I told the audience, they know the story, but like, I'm not the only one. Millions of people have this in their family where somebody you know and love got swept up into the opioid crisis. That wasn't Hunter's thing. I mean, he was a crack cocaine, whatever. But, my sister actually legitimately got caught up in the opioid crisis by a doctor telling her this thing was not going to be addictive. And then it was, and really never righted the ship again. and she died 2 years ago at age 58. And I'm just, it makes me so angry because she had no advantages like this. She did not have a presidential connection, nor did my, place in the public sphere or my financial resources save her. She didn't have the connection she needed because there was some petty anti-crime that she got involved in, basically like a shoplifting thing. But anyway, my point is, it wasn't like a massive bank robbery. But once you have that on your record, you're effed. She could just never get rid of it. She couldn't get a job. Even when she got clean and sober, which she had been for many, many years by the time she passed, she could never get a job once it's on your record. And they want us to feel sorry for this rich, spoiled fucking brat, Hunter Biden, who's had an entire life of privilege as the son of a senator, the son of a sitting vice president, the son of a president who had every advantage in the book and squandered them all after exploiting them to the detriment of our country with his dad's hand guiding the ship. And now we're supposed to feel sorry for these two? Well, I don't at all. And the New York Times doesn't get it. The thing that you're talking about, Moynihan, the thing you like about Portnoy, and the thing that you're picking up on in what I read, the dark sky in Nantucket after leaving the church, sure. His final Thanksgiving as president inside a borrowed vacation compound on Nantucket, with views of the shut up. No one in the country who's sitting in jail or whose kid is about to go to jail for a gun charge or tax evasion or drugs gives two shits about your problems.
Mm-hmm. There's a guy sitting in jail. My colleague at Reason, Jacob Sullum, was one of the best journalists in the country for my money. Wrote about a really good piece about this pardon and all the hypocrisies of it, and the dissonances and the things that Biden has talked about that are lying, which goes way beyond just his saying that he was not going to do it and then doing it, just the way that he characterized Republican pressure, this and that. But there are people who are in jail right now for serving 4-year sentences because they lied on their application to get a gun about being legal in their state cannabis user. That's it. They weren't a crackhead. They weren't going down the slide in a way that Michael Moynihan still feels pretty envious about. They weren't doing all the things. They didn't get a cushy job at Burisma. Well, their dad was in charge. The vice president, was in charge of the, Ukraine portfolio in the Obama administration. Speaking of which, is that good parenting? Let's see. I've got a troubled fail son over here. He's going to get a job that he would not otherwise get unless I was vice president, perhaps with his portfolio. It has nothing to do with any of his skills. I'm going to sign off on that and give him a high five. That's not good parenting. Sorry to say that out loud, but it's just not. But there are people who are in jail for stuff like this. Wouldn't you think that you might go out and find a few of those to pardon as well?
Yes.
Maybe have second thoughts about you wanting to increase the penalties for these types of things because you hate guns so much. And no, he's not taking that opportunity. And this is one of the infuriating things about all politicized pardons. And of course, Donald Trump did political pardons as well. And he's about to do some more, I'm sure. The problem with that is that there are genuine people who should be pardoned. We've seen the last 3 presidents deserve some credit for pardoning some amount of people. It's not nearly enough for people who are languishing in jail for things that we no longer consider crimes and who were never violent. You should be spending your entire presidency doing that, but particularly after you have pardoned your fail son and lied about it while doing it and cloaking it in the mantle of truth. Go out and find people who are in jail who are less reprobate crackheads and get them out of jail now too.
Yeah, Trump did criminal justice reform when he was president. That was a lot of people who were affected by that. Forget the pardon power. He actually changed the law to let some people out of prison, a lot of them. But Biden's done nothing. Biden tightened these laws, these very same gun laws that wound up coming back to haunt his son. And then he gave him a pardon once he got convicted of the damn crime and wants us to feel sorry for him. This is more from the New York Times, Moynihan. Mr. Biden's decision has tarnished a storied public legacy. Storied, I say. that began more than 50 years ago. It began more than 50 years ago at a hospital bedside of two sons who survived a car crash that killed his first wife and young daughter. Several people close to Mr. Biden said the decision created a conflict between two core identities, the anguished father trying to protect his son, and the president who takes pride in standing on principle.
He's a prideful man. I just want to do everything in the Kate Hepburn accent. That relates to what you were saying about your sister. I mean, this is a thing that most people are very reticent about saying and talking about, but I think it's kind of necessary at this point. We all know somebody. I mean, I know people very close to me who have gone through very similar things. Drug addiction, in trouble with the law, et cetera. And I'm not talking about myself, Matt Welch, but I know other people close to me. But, if they were to lean on these things in their life, in the mistakes that they made, people talk about this as a tragedy, as an addiction, all true. But in times when you actually have to also say, we made mistakes. I made a mistake as a person. I'm trying to correct that mistake. And they don't have this kind of, excuse factory. So you think about Joe Biden, and again, this is the thing that people don't want to say because it's kind of, impolite to say so. It's car crash. It is Bo in Iraq. It is Hunter's drug issue. I get that these are very difficult things for a family, and I have an enormous amount of sympathy for that. But I start kind of losing that sympathy when it's deployed, not mentioned, but deployed is the correct verb. It is deployed in a political way. I mean, we've all been through this, and it doesn't resonate, right? The reason it doesn't resonate is because we don't get out of trouble. We don't get board seats on Ukrainian energy firms with no background in this. We don't get art shows, despite the fact that our art is absolute garbage. And anybody with any taste in art understands this. He has had a path out of this for so long. Joe Biden was Scranton Joe, working class man who took the Amtrak every day. I don't buy that, but okay, let's grant him that. His son was not. These are people who grew up in extraordinary privilege. I just made a joke about Dave Portnoy, the non-Nantucket versus the Nantucket. Dave Portnoy, I don't know if people remember this, but he got stuck in his boat off of Nantucket this summer, which, by the way, shows you're not a blue blood. You have to call the Coast Guard. But Dave Portnoy is he got rich later. He's like a working class guy with a working class accent. And we have sympathy for him. We understand somebody who's made it. And we look at someone like Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, scratching his chin saying, "What shall we do with dear Hunter?" when he's sitting on, in his mansion, in a borrowed mansion, by the way. He didn't buy it on Martha's Vineyard like Barack Obama did. But
probably owned by Jim Biden, who's also going down.
Yeah, exactly. Is that the next pardon, by the way? Is that the next blank check
100%.
pardon? Maybe Jim Biden.
And by the way, if I were Trump, I'd definitely
Maybe.
pardon myself in the wake of all this. I would. And then we'll have weeks of stories of whether pardon can be given by a president to himself. But I would be pardoning myself now. I'd not forget the J6 defendants. I'd definitely be pardoning myself and saying these people are lunatics. Even Joe Biden admits they cannot be trusted. They've already said that they want a dismissal without prejudice of these federal charges against me. F them. The October 15th deadline has long passed. Are you prepared for what's coming? Do you owe back taxes? Are your tax returns still unfiled? Missed the deadline to file for an extension? Now that October 15th is behind us, the IRS may be ramping up enforcement. You could face wage garnishments, frozen bank accounts, or even property seizures if you have not yet taken action. But there is hope. Tax Network USA has helped taxpayers save over $1 billion in tax debt and has filed over 10,000 tax returns. They specialize in helping people reduce their tax burdens. So visit tnusa.com/Megyn or call 1-800-958-1000 for a free consultation. Their experts will walk you through a few simple questions to see how much you could save. Give it a try now before the IRS takes more aggressive steps. Take control and visit tnusa.com/Megyn or just call 1-800-958-1000. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.